People getting laid off. Let's talk about it.
Let me begin by saying we hoped we wouldn't be in this position again. Yet we are, and we deeply regret the impact this decision may have on you. For that, I am truly very sorry. This decision is not a reflection on you as individuals. I also want to say you've been tremendous team members, colleagues, and friends to me and so many others. We are here to support you both personally and professionally as you navigate next steps. We will begin deactivating all systems access at this time. At this time, I'll end the call.
And that's it. And they turned everything off.
That's a shitty time. I'm not gonna lie. I've been in her shoes. I remember when I got let go from my job, my wife was actually pregnant with my daughter, and it was right before the holidays. I think it was November when I got let go due to some financial issues that the company was going through at the time, and I was one of the newest hires for the company, so I was also salaried. So I was a pretty easy person to let go. And when you go through that time, it's scary, right? Like, you don't know what the future holds. You don't know what you're gonna do if you have a lot of bills to pay. That can add to even more stress. And I'm starting to see more and more of these videos where people are recording themselves being laid off. And then you look at the employment numbers, and although they're relatively low still, they have started to come up a little bit over the past few months or so. And that's one number. That is one data metric that really I am paying attention to that could set off the next recession.
2025, I'm going to need a refund because this year sucks already. I just got laid off for basically the second time back to back. If you didn't know, I worked at Twitter and I got laid off when Elon Musk acquired the company. Since then, I've been working at a content strategy agency type place as a director of strategy, and I just got laid off yesterday. It's surreal because I definitely didn't want to go through another layoff. Being laid off the first time was one of the most traumatic events that have ever happened to me, especially because it happened so publicly. This time was obviously a little bit different, but the company lost some clients, and now here I am without a job. It's hard not to reevaluate my life choices at this point. I work in tech, and so I'm wondering if that's still what I should be doing. It's hard to feel like secure in a job anymore. It feels like those days are over. So I don't know if I should be in tech anymore or working this corporate life. I love the security of having a stable job, but that hasn't been the case for quite some time for me because it's just been so unstable in the industry. So I'm considering other options, obviously. I had a wild idea. I think somebody on TikTok said, hey, become an ultrasound tech. That takes like 2 years of schooling and then you're in. And I was like, sounds good to me. But again, I also really enjoyed my job doing marketing, strategy, working in the digital space, working with tech. It is fast paced and it's very exciting. So I honestly don't know what to do.
Yeah, so I mean, the tech industry, which has been booming the past 10 to 15 years, we're really starting to see a lot of the layoffs come from that industry. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, the economy and how expensive everything is, and also the ease that it comes with AI and what AI can replace a lot of people's jobs right now, or at least make some task for some jobs just not needed anymore. But the real thing to think about here when it comes to being laid off, it is like the scary part's like, what do you do next? What do you do next? Now, the best way to be set up when that happens is if you got your money right? I mean, if you don't have a ton of debt payments and you haven't been living above your means the entire time you've had this secure job and you've been stocking money away, well, then you're probably going to be all right. Like, you can even probably afford to take some time off, relax, recoup, get your emotions back intact, and then start taking the time to look and figure out what you're going to do next in your life. Now, the first thing to think about is like, your life's not over, right? Your life is not all around that one job. there will be something out there. And I always say this, when I lost my job, I was like, I feel like I lost my job for a reason, and the opportunity that was presented to me after that was even much greater than what I would have had if I would have stuck at that company. And we actually drove by it the other day, and man, how long ago was that? That had to have been like 7 years ago, and I was let go. Maybe 6 years. I have a video on my channel. If you go back to my earlier videos, you'll be able to see like I got fired or whatever. And I remember talking about it to this day to this exact camera. And I remember saying like I had no idea what I was going to do next, but we were driving by that same building the other day, and I told my wife, I was like, man, could you imagine if I was still working there? Like, could you imagine if I never would have been laid off? I never would have taken the chances I took in life, and I just would have kept that job. Life would have been completely different. So sometimes things like that happen for a reason, and it's a good thing they happen to you. But you got to look at that. It's hard to look at it that way. I wasn't looking at it that way when it happened, but it was good when it happened to me, and I'm thankful for it.
I got a random meeting on my calendar. I feel like, and there's a bunch of them on this other lady's calendar. I hope I'm not getting fired. I will die. Someone else is in there. I'm getting fired. Oh my God, I'm getting fired. Hello.
Good morning, Becker.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I asked, who I think you know, so join us for this call. She is our HR representative. We've got some updates we'd like to share with you this morning.
Okay.
So as you know, we have been working with to help us identify the best way forward for this last period of time. And while we originally believed that we would be integrating with, we've instead determined that it was a best for us to refocus the agency to an independent agency. And in doing so, we've initiated a buyback of it. Unfortunately, as you may know, the lack of growth and the decline in our client revenue has negatively impacted our business beyond what we can sustain. And it's forced us to make what are very difficult decisions to eliminate roles within the agency. And this includes the elimination of your role, making today your last day. Please know that it was a very difficult decision. You made meaningful contributions to the last couple of years, and we have much respect and gratitude for what you've done and what you've given. At this point, I will turn it over to you so she can take you through some of the next steps.
Email meeting up shortly. And, once you get the chance to review and look everything over, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. I wish you the best.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, that's tough. It's tough to watch. And when I was searching through these videos, like, there's a lot of them. It's picking up. That's the scary part. And I ask you guys, like, if that happened to you today, are you prepared? Like, could you handle that financially? Like, how long could you last without your income coming in right now? That's what you need to think about right now to motivate yourself to get your finances right. Stop living above your means. Stop taking on debt. Get your debt paid off, live below your means, and stock some freaking money away. Because if you get let go and you can't survive for, a period of time before you can go get another job, yikes, that's scary.
I just got laid off about an hour ago. I cried for a while, and I think the hardest part about it is I loved my job, I cared so much, but knowing that you put your full effort towards something and then feeling like they decided it wasn't enough or it wasn't worth enough. Like right now, I feel just very not even undervalued, because I clearly am not valued, but that all of my effort wasn't good enough, or it wasn't important, or it wasn't relevant. I got laid off today, and it's just, I don't know, and LA is burning and their fires are everywhere, and I got laid off and I don't have a job. So in perspective, it's not that big of a deal. There's other jobs, but it goes so much deeper than not having a job. So yeah, I don't know. I'm jobless.
I mean, that is mentally hard to deal with. Like, anytime you get let go, like, it is something that messes with you on the inside. It's like, what could I have done different? Am I not worthy of this job? But you gotta look at it on the other side, right? Like, what I did is, like, because I felt that same way. I was like, gosh dang it, like, how could I get fired? You know, it sucks. It's not a good feeling. But what I did is I actually used that to, like, motivate me, right? So I looked at it as, I was like, all right, I'm going to show them. Now, here's a funny story, actually. This company, like, how everything happened, I'm not going to go into details, but it did kind of piss me off, like, how it happened. Because I left the company to go work with them, and I had to do some stuff, like, anyways, whatever. But it pissed me off that first off, the company didn't handle their finances correctly, so they let me go for their mistakes. But anyways, enough said about that. I actually took their top project manager, because it was in construction, and him and I became good friends from me working there. I took him so once I got a new job when I got fired, I got a new job at a different company. And then once I left to pursue YouTube full time, I contacted this guy at the other company. I was like, hey man, do you want my spot at this job? It's a great company. They're growing. You know, there's a lot of growth ahead. You know, you can have this spot doing this, XYZ. He's like, oh, I would love that. Let's talk. We grabbed lunch. I put in my 2 weeks with the company, you know, and I had a replacement for them. So I brought extra value to that company that helped me out in those tough times as well. The job I got after I got fired. So, you know, it's a little bit of a look at me now type thing, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a dog-eat-dog world, baby.
I got laid off today. Here's exactly what I would do next. From somebody who has worked in hiring for over a decade and somebody who lost 2 jobs last year. First, you hear this all the time, but it is important. Apply for unemployment. Immediately, right now. Come back to the rest of this video later, but go apply for unemployment now. In some states, it takes a really long time to process. Next, I always recommend some type of pause for introspection for yourself. But I know for many of you, you feel like you can't take this time off. I understand, but I would try to take some. Next, of course, assuming you have not done it, is update your resume. I say do this before the next steps because you do want the resume ready to go, but don't just slap something together quick. You're going to be sending it to a lot of people very shortly and you want it to be good. Next, I would optimize my LinkedIn profile and headline based on a lot of tips that are out there. That is because the next step is your LinkedIn post. Do not waste this LinkedIn post. It will probably get more views on your profile than you're used to having. I've linked to the video of exactly sort of how I say to do it, so you can use that as a guideline. But understand that people will see this and look at your profile and you want it to be ready to go and appealing. I would do all of this before contacting anyone or applying to any jobs because you don't get a second chance at a first impression.
Solid advice. I mean, yeah, if you guys have recently been laid off, those are some good tips to follow if that is you. I also will kind of add to that on the financial perspective is to literally live like a broke college kid until you get that new job. You're going to be eating ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's it. You're not going out to eat. You're not going to have fun. You're not going to keep your lifestyle where it was when you had your job. Like, life has changed. A large lifestyle switch has to come in your life, and things have to happen. Now, it's temporary. It's not permanent, but until you get another job, you have to change your lifestyle massively until you can find another way to generate income. And this is another reason why I stress so much in my videos, guys, of how important investing for your future is. The more money you can put away in investments that grow over time for you, that then can turn into what's known as FU money, toward down the road, if you're set up with your investments and you can live off that, or at least live a very, lower lifestyle until you can find some extra income, that's the best spot to be. But it takes a lot of work up front to get there. And it takes a lot of uncomfortable decisions that people aren't willing to make, meaning like living below your means, which sometimes baffles me that people don't want to do that, but that's the case. And that's how you have to get ahead. You have to pay yourself first.
I'm waiting for them to let me into the meeting room. I'm pretty sure I'm getting laid off today. There are 3 other people that are supposed to be on the call with me and the CMO.
Everyone knows, we've been dealing with some pretty drastic changes in the business. As most of you saw, and I'm sure heard yesterday, we had to, shut down the teleservices division of the business, which was over, 800 people impacted by that change. And so that's a really drastic shift in the business. And unfortunately, it requires us to do the same from the corporate perspective. I want to make sure you all understand that this is, a widespread corporate action that's taking place today. Unfortunately, today will be your last day with the organization.
Due to the impact that this ruling has had on the business, it's a big impact, and at this time, we are unable to offer severance to any of the people impacted in this.
Thanks, Joni. I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you, and wish you all, the very best, and I hope we get to talk soon.
Well, that's exactly what happened. It's just sad. It sucks because I really like our CMO, and I don't know, it's just on to bigger and better things, hopefully. So any marketing positions, hit me up.
That sucks, guys. It really does. That's also the power of side hustles too, though. Even an extra like $500 to $1,000 a month from a side hustle, like that's massive in a case like this. I mean, that's grocery money, or that's paying your rent, and then you live off your emergency fund until you can find something else. But man, that is a tough spot to be in.
I got laid off and I'm terrified. I started 2025 with some really big goals of wanting to pay off all of my credit card debt and also save up for a down payment on a house. And now the unknown is absolutely terrifying for what I can and cannot afford. Even if I make the maximum of unemployment, that's only about $370 a month, and that is not going to cover my expenses, my debt payoff journey, my savings plan. It can't do all three. I'm very lucky to have a decent savings built up, as well as have a husband who can also provide for us. But I was the breadwinner in our relationship, and so this will be definitely difficult going forward to see what we can afford. Funny enough, I knew this was coming in some way, shape, or form. I just didn't think it was going to happen as soon as it did and the way that it did. We got called to an all-hands meeting in which we were told that our company was closing and that everyone's employment was being terminated effective immediately. I truly loved my job. I loved what I did. I'm proud of the habits that I have built in this low buy year so far. I know it's only month one, but I've done really well at not overly shopping, spending money on things that I don't need. So, I want to keep building on those habits, and really are going to help me hone in on not overspending and saving as much money as I can in this time of the unknown.
Love that. She got her head on right. They were on a debt payoff journey, and, unfortunately a bump in the road happened, but they're going to figure out a way to get through it. But I'm going to end it with this, guys. If you're watching this video and you've made it to this point, and maybe there's that part down in your stomach where it's like, ooh, this could happen to me. Like, you know that feeling. I've been there. I know a lot of people have been there. You're at a job, you're working there, and things just feel a little off. And you're like, I wouldn't be shocked if they let me go. Because maybe they've fallen on tough times. Or they've overhired from, the rush of 4 years ago or whatever it was. Let that light a fire underneath your ass in order to start preparing now. Because I will tell you guys this, if unemployment skyrockets, these videos are all over. It was very easy for me to find people making videos of them being laid off. They're everywhere. And I feel like the numbers are increasing. So the only thing you can do to save yourself now is to start preparing now to handle your finances correctly, to put yourself in a situation to where if that does happen to you, you're going to be okay. Step one is to save up for an emergency fund. Stock away about 3 to 6, maybe even more than that, worth of cash in a savings account, a high yield savings account, so you're at least earning interest on that money, to where you can live off that money for the amount of time frame that you have saved, 3, 6, 9, 12 months, in case something like that happens. Once you get some money saved up, start paying extra towards your debt. Because think about this, guys, when you have your debt paid off, when that debt is gone, that is basically a pay raise you're giving yourself. You no longer have to have that money going out to pay those debts because they're paid off. And then next would be to start really focusing on investing. I'd say recommend doing this while paying off your debts as well, but really start focusing on investing. Throw money in your retirement accounts, throw money in a taxable brokerage account that's basically liquid and you can pull out whenever you need if you run out of your emergency fund savings. And start building up those accounts. Start building up your assets. Stop spending money on liabilities and throwing money away at useless crap, and put it towards your financial future. If you guys do those 3 basic things, you will be so much further ahead than most people. Live below your means, save up for an emergency fund, pay off debt, and start investing. You guys can do it. Start preparing now, so if you get that tough call, you're going to be okay.